headed those major acquisitions, right?
Yeah.
Tetley,
Mm-hmm.
Jaguar Land Rover, Chorus.
Huge, huge move.
I mean, these were bold moves, strategically acquiring companies
Right.
that weren't just about, expanding their portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
but about, entering new markets, solidifying their presence on the world stage.
Absolutely. And these acquisitions, I mean, they weren't without risks, were they?
Right.
Especially, acquiring Jaguar Land Rover in 2008, just before the global financial crisis hit.
Oh, wow.
But Ratan Tata had this incredible business acumen. He recognized the value of these brands, their heritage, their global appeal.
He was playing the long game, right?
He was.
Demonstrating that success in business, it often means taking calculated risks, weathering those economic storms,
Yeah.
and having that foresight, right?
Yeah.
To see potential where others just don't.
Exactly.
It's that kind of thinking that really sets great leaders apart.
Absolutely, but it's also important to remember that his vision, it extended beyond the boardroom,
Mm-hmm.
Ratan Tata genuinely cared about making a difference in the lives of everyday people. Take the Tata Nano, for example.
The people's car.
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind that?
Well, he envisioned a car that was affordable for the average Indian family.
Okay.
A symbol of upward mobility and progress.
Yeah.
Whether or not the Nano fully achieved its intended impact, I think that's debatable.
Okay.
But the vision behind it, it speaks to his character and his desire to use his position to create positive change.
It's a good reminder that even with such, remarkable success, that no journey is without its bumps in the road.
That's true. That's true.
Even Ratan Tata, with his legacy, his leadership,
Right.
he faced, internal challenges, particularly after his retirement in 2012.
He did, yeah. And the appointment and subsequent removal of Cyrus Mistry.
Right.
It created a really tumultuous period for the Tata Group. It was marked by legal battles and internal strife. And while we won't delve into the legal complexities now, it really highlights that even empires, built on a foundation as strong as Tata's, they're not immune to internal conflicts.
Right.
These things happen.
Yeah, it's interesting how that period of, internal conflict that you mentioned,
Right.
it kind of gets overshadowed, right?
Yeah.
By just the sheer volume of Ratan Tata's accomplishments. It's like, here's this giant of industry, making these bold moves on a global scale.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also this human side,
Yeah.
grappling with very real challenges, right?
Right.
Within the company that he dedicated his life to building.
It adds a layer of complexity to his legacy, that's for sure.
Yep.
But let's not forget that alongside, the global acquisitions, the internal dramas, there was another side to Ratan Tata.
Okay.
The angel investor.
Oh, right.
He had this remarkable ability to spot potential, particularly within, the burgeoning world of Indian startups.
And it wasn't just a passing interest.
No.
He was making some pretty significant investments.
He was.
What was it about those startups, that drew him in?
Well, he had his finger on the pulse of innovation,
Okay.
I mean, he was an early investor in companies like Snapdeal, for instance,
Yeah.
when e-commerce was still really finding its footing in India.
Yeah.
He saw the potential of Ola cabs to disrupt the transportation sector.
Wow.
Long before ride sharing became, commonplace.
Great.
And perhaps, most surprisingly, he invested in Xiaomi.
Oh, yeah.
The Chinese smartphone giant.
Wow.
He recognized, their global reach and their innovative approach.
It seems like he had this knack, right?
It did.
For spotting companies that would go on to become, major players.
Yeah.
Not just in India, but really on a global scale.
Yeah.
What drove that?
That's a good question.
Was it purely business instinct?
I think it was a combination of factors.
Okay.
I mean, he possessed a keen business sense, no doubt.
Yeah.
But there was also this deep-seated belief, in fostering innovation, in supporting Indian entrepreneurs on a global stage.
Yeah.
His investments, I mean, they weren't just about, making money.
Right.
They were about nurturing potential, and contributing to India's growing influence in the tech world.
That brings us to another, really important aspect of his legacy.
Yeah.
His philanthropy.
Absolutely.
And this wasn't just about, writing checks.
Right. Not at all.
It seems like he had a very hands-on approach
He did.
to the causes that he supported.
Absolutely. His commitment to education was profound.
Okay.
I mean, the Tata Scholarship Fund that he established at Cornell, his alma mater.
Right.
It's designed specifically to help underprivileged Indian students, access, world-class education. And then you have the Tata Education and Development Trust,
Okay.
which supports a whole range of educational initiatives across India,
Wow.
from primary schools to vocational training programs, you name it.
Education seems to have been very, very close to his heart.
It was fundamental to his belief in empowering future generations.
Right.
But his philanthropy, it extended far beyond education.
Okay.
I mean, he was deeply invested in medical research, for example, particularly in the fight against Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
And through the Tata Trusts, he spearheaded initiatives focused on improving healthcare, sanitation, livelihoods in some of India's most underserved rural communities.
Yeah. So we're seeing this consistent theme, right?
Yeah.
Of using his position, his resources to uplift communities, to create opportunities for those less fortunate.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a powerful testament to his character, to his belief in social responsibility.
It really is.
And it wasn't limited to India.
Right.
Remember those international board memberships we mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Those were far more than honorary titles.
Oh, absolutely.
He was actively involved in organizations like the East-West Center,
right.
which is dedicated to fostering understanding and cooperation between the United States and the Asia-Pacific region.
Very important work.
Yeah, and I remember thinking it was so fascinating that he was involved with the X Prize Foundation.
Yeah.
Which that awards prizes for breakthroughs in technology and science. Human ingenuity. It's like he had this insatiable curiosity, right?
Yeah, he did.
And this desire to be a part of something bigger than himself, not just in the business world, but on a global stage.
He was a true global citizen.
Yeah.
Someone who understood that the world's biggest challenges, they require collaboration, they require understanding across borders.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid to step outside of his comfort zone.
Right.
To engage with diverse perspectives and to use his influence to advocate for a more interconnected world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The backstory, the career highlights, the challenges, the triumphs, the philanthropy.
A lot.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
What does this all mean, for our listener?
That's the question.
Why should they care about the life and legacy of Ratan Tata?
Because his story, it transcends the business world.
Yeah.
It's a story about leadership, it's about resilience, it's about the power of vision and about the responsibility that comes with success.
It's also a story about defying expectations.
It is.
The architecture student who became an industrial titan.
Right.
The shop floor trainee who rose to become this global icon.
It's amazing.
It's proof that we can achieve extraordinary things. If we're willing to challenge the status quo, to constantly learn, to grow,
right,
and to use our success to make a positive impact on the world around us.
Well said.
That's a really powerful thought.
It is.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive,
okay,
we want to leave you with something to ponder, right? A question that really goes to the heart of Ratan Tata's legacy.
I'm ready.
We've talked extensively about his global acquisitions, how they transformed the Tata Group, and how they helped to put Indian industry on the world stage.
Right.
But acquisitions, they're incredibly complex.
Oh, they are, yeah.
They involved integrating different company cultures.
Of course.
Navigating economic uncertainties and constantly adapting to a rapidly changing global landscape.
Yeah.
They do. So with that in mind, here's something to consider. How will history judge the lasting impact of those acquisitions, both in terms of globalizing the Tata Group and the challenges that those companies might have faced later on?
It's a really interesting question, because it makes you think about the long-term implications of even, the most well-intended decisions, right?
Right.
Did these acquisitions, did they ultimately strengthen the companies involved?
Yeah.
Did they benefit the employees and the communities they serve?
Right.
I mean, these are complex questions with no easy answers.
Exactly. And it really speaks to, the multifaceted nature of a legacy, like Ratan Tata's.
Yeah.
It's not just about the big headlines and the billion-dollar deals.
Right.
It's about the impact that those decisions have on people's lives, both, in the present and for generations to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that brings us to, something else I find so fascinating about Ratan Tata, the personal side, because even with all his success, it's clear that he never forgot where he came from.
Right. Like that story about him still, making these unannounced visits to Tata steel plants, even after he retired.
I love that story.
Imagine being, a worker on the factory floor.
Right.
And suddenly, Ratan Tata's there.
Yeah.
Just wanted to chat and see how things are going.
It speaks to his humility.
Yeah.
He could have easily, rested on his laurels and enjoyed, a quiet retirement, but he never lost that connection to the people who were really the backbone of the company.
Yeah.
He genuinely valued their contributions, and he understood the importance of staying grounded.
And then there's that, well-documented love for dogs.
Oh, of course.
Having his dog Goa present at the memorial services.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's a small detail.
It is.
But it really it resonated with people.
It did.
It showed this different side.
Yeah.